Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of B Chat. This is B, and yeah, just kind of want to get right into it. I was thinking about this a lot today and just this week. I was talking to my friend a lot about this, and it's a concept that I think is like really um, interesting, and it's something that I don't know why it's not more popular. And you guys know I like to talk a lot about, people and fears and stuff like that, and anxiety and how to get over that and do what you want. So some of the most successful people I've met, they really don't know what to do with themselves after they stop working or they retire. Pretty common. Whether you look at like athletes or like business CEOs or whatever, you name it, like any profession, when you do something for so long, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and then you stop, it's kind of a shock. So that's a pretty common notion. Like no one's probably like, no way. Like that's something that's pretty universally accepted. The reason why I think that's interesting is because it's ironic because a lot of what I'm interested in is what I call an exit strategy or an exit plan. That's like it's not I don't know if that's the right phrase or the right word, but that's I think that's just what I've been using. But what I mean by that is that no matter what you're doing, in my opinion, one of the best ways to have happiness for longevity, like when you get older, is to start thinking about and start establishing and working on your exit plan, regardless of whatever you do right now. Now, I think there's a couple caveats to that. It's definitely something that's easier to do when you've done one thing for a long time, like you didn't jump around a lot of different careers or whatever. But if you've done one thing for like 5, 10, 15, 20 years throughout your career, whether you want to admit it or not, you're developing skills, and it's not necessarily the skill that you were hired to do or that you get paid to do. For example, I've talked about this I think in my first podcast, just when I was rambling and didn't really know what I was talking about. But whatever you're probably most naturally good at and meant to do, you feel really guilty and weird about getting paid to do it. So if you look at like basically what makes a small business successful, they mostly need to specialize in something that they get really, really good at. And a lot of people call this like proof of concept, or like when you have a process that you know works, like you have content that you know is good. Now it's just a matter of getting it in front of people or whatever. But even like small business owners, just like where I work, where me and my partner work, that's kind of where this started. Is we want to start helping people with that, is exit plans. And the reason why is that if you look at like if you look at an athlete, right, there's so much value in people, but no one is willing to get paid to do what they have the most value in. So like, for example, if you have an athlete who's really, really athletic, he's like the best basketball player, he goes to the NBA. Now, one of the cool things about exit strategy is that it can provide sustenance to your revenue and to how much money you make, because like if you're an NBA basketball player, you obviously can't do that career forever, just logically. So you're gonna have to stop, and then once you stop, it's like what's the exit plan? And I think instead of looking at it as like a scary thing to which causes you to procrastinate and ignore it, you got to look at it kind of like a positive way, because again, whatever you're doing for your career, you're developing skills in that aren't necessarily the main career. So if you're a basketball player, like what's the most common thing that successful retired basketball players probably do? Have, training academies, maybe they have gyms, training camps, programs, or what have you. It's basically going to be something that's kind of related to that, but that's like the most common thing. That's really common with like MMA fighters or people who do like martial arts. Like they do all these years of training and training and training when they go to tournaments, all that. And eventually, most of them, their realistic goal is to be like, all right, I need to open some gyms so I can make revenue. But that's a pretty common exit strategy. But what I'm trying to say is that there's actually a whole lot more that you could do if you had the eye for it, like while you're in your career. Because if you've been doing something for so long, it's really impossible that there's not some little niche within that you are developing a lot of insight on, and then can pursue that as a thing when you're done. So it's like, I guess with a basketball player, instead of like gyms or training programs, like, I don't know, if he noticed like something, like a basketball player probably deals a lot with like staff or like reporters or something like that, and maybe they could start like, speaking or developing content on how to like deal with like performance anxiety at the highest level, or deal with a lot of I don't know. So it has to be something a little bit that's actually something is valuable. It's something that could help people, and you have a lot of experience in it. So like, if for example, like a good example is maybe like a teacher, or like a teacher or an author who basically develop something as a, teachers don't make a lot of money, but like, teachers have a lot of knowledge. They read a lot of books, or they if they're teaching younger kids, they give them a lot of children's books. So if, developing a book that maybe is like specially made for like, blind kids, that has Braille, but it's like, something like that you can really see through your career, what you're doing now, but to be able to turn that into like an exit strategy. So like, I don't know. It's like, that's a really like interesting concept that I think I just keep kind of seeing it. And, it's weird too, because it's like, if you look at like the other thing why it's interesting is because it would actually be more effective to do that, to find something within what you're doing that would benefit other people, that's kind of niche and unique, and pursue that instead of the mainstream thing. Because if you think of like even like the most popular podcast, Joe Rogan, like he does a stand-up comedy as his career, but he developed the podcast because he realized that he could do it forever. Even stand-up comedy, you can't do it forever. You literally can't, like Richard Pryor and stuff. You can't keep going on stage forever, or traveling or what have you, but you can always sit down and do a podcast. So that's a really good realistic exit plan. Even like doctors and nurses, or like, I don't think they ever think about this, but they have to deal with so many like managers and medical assistants and all types of staff that they have to, without any career, without any education, have to, like even dentists, they have to train them, they have to manage them, they have to find ways to do the bills and stuff. And it's like all that experience, it's like that could be a training program for like clinic, physicians and dentists. That's not something you get taught in medical school, but that's why a lot of doctors don't want to open up their own practice, because there's it's too much work. But it's like, if you've done it successfully over 10 years or 20 years in your city, like, unless it's an anomaly, like, so much little things that what to avoid and how to do it right, that like pretty much no other, it's going to take 20 years for someone else to figure that out. And if you could develop that into some type of, format that people actually find interesting or attractive, and they use it, man, that's more fulfilling too. Like, that's the kind of thing that makes people, like, I think super, super happy in the long run. But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about that a lot lately. Like what is the unique thing within what you do that you can basically like maximize? But I think the key is that it has to be kind of unique. There's definitely got to be some key points. But yeah, I mean, even like, I know so many, I know women that like had like really good careers, but then they're like, I want to be a mom. And like, or even women that do both. I mean, that even in and of itself, you may not think, oh, that's not what I do, that's just part of my life. But teaching other women how to do that, how to balance work life and kids and stuff, that could even in itself be some like an exit strategy if you developed, content and books and programs on that, what have you. Go speak about it around the country. So there's a lot of different examples, but I think that's the kind of the main concept is is kind of what's the thing that you're learning and developing understanding in that it's like, man, this is like, this comes up, maybe it's like, man, this comes up a lot in life. Like this, I keep seeing this like pattern. I keep seeing this thing. Maybe I should like, you know, say something about it or help people with it. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some easier, like simpler examples. Maybe like yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that are really successful in their career, it's like, oh, this happened kind of by accident, or yeah, but that's kind of the formula. That's how it works. It's like you got to accidentally find something where you know other people can find useful within what you do and the experience that you're getting. So yeah, it's like, even like there's like so many like yeah, there's so many like authors. Like think about all the stuff they have to go through, unless they're like really big, like just to get their book printed. You know, developing content or something on that. You know, even just YouTube videos. Like, hey, this is like how this is the cheapest way. This is the whole process on how to do it, and just kind of being that voice. But there's something in literally everything. I think it's just like a matter of, do you want to like see it? Like, do you want to like look at it and be like, okay, this is like, this could be interesting. This could be fun. This could be scary. And I think even some of like the more like quote unquote low level jobs, it's like that's actually one of the smartest things because think about it, like you can, if you have a small business, or if you have, even if you're just like I don't know, like anything, like a cook in a restaurant or something, like you could literally become kind of the quote unquote expert on a certain aspect of being a chef. It doesn't have to be like, this is how you make the best steak. It could be something else. Like it could be, but it has to be something that's, kind of genuine and that comes up a lot. But I think, yeah, developing exit plans is something that is becoming more and more prevalent. That's kind of the thing to do. But yeah, I don't know. I think I set up an email. So if you guys have I like putting this on YouTube so you guys can just directly comment, and hopefully the YouTube channel gets some traction and gets going. I know it takes a long time and patience and consistency when you're trying to get your content out there, but hopefully you guys stick with me, enjoying the journey, and I'll keep posting. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.